Okay, hi everyone. Welcome you to the CIN webinar series, session 1. And today we're going to talk about introduction to CIN. So basically we're going to give you a very basic introduction about what are the roles, missions, and what are we going to offer on the perspective from the CIN. And also we're going to introduce you to consulting industry. So basically we're going to give you everything you want to know about consulting industry, including like what do people do in consulting industry and what is the function and how does it compare to some other professional services options out there. And right now I can see a lot of people who are watching this webinar right now, and I actually feel very excited about that. And we do feel a stronger sense of responsibility on behalf of CIN people because we are supposed to give you the best resources and guidance to accelerate your growth into the professional world ahead of you. So, okay, without further ado, let's jump directly to our agenda. So, next slide. Agenda. So today, first of all, we're going to talk about CIN. It's a history, mission, and the roles, and we're going to get to know CIN mentors. So basically, today we're going to have 8 mentors from our mentor pool who are going to speak to you guys. And they are going to talk about their backgrounds, such as where are they from and why are they so passionate about consulting. And they are going to provide you guys with experience highlight they encountered during their recruiting procedures. Hopefully you guys can like that. And secondly, we're going to talk about consulting industry. So we will have one of our strongest mentors, Xumin from Accenture, to talk to you guys about consulting industry. So stay tuned for that part as well. And lastly, we're going to talk about, we are going to have a Q&A session. So basically, if you have questions, go to our today's Meet chat room and submit that. And our mentors monitor the questions and select the most popular ones, and we are going to answer them at the end of the webinar. So stay tuned till the end. Okay, so next slide. Let's talk about CIN. So it's a history, mission, and the roles. So first of all, our history. So CIN Consulting Incubation Network is 1 year old now, but it is super baby because we have accumulated so much resources and a lot of experiences on how to manage an organization and how to fit our members and mentees with the best resources and guidance we have for now. So basically, more than 1 year ago, in December of 2011, CIN was started by a number of top-notch consulting firms offerees, such as McKinsey, Bain, BCG, Accenture, PwC, and Deloitte. And we have grown a lot during this 1 year. And actually, I used to be the mentee for this organization 1 year ago, and now I am kind of returning to this organization and be a mentor to give back to it. So that ties to our mission, and we are actually we're actually supposed to incubate, connect, and give back to the consulting field. So in the shorter time scale, we are actually incubating people. We are selecting the most talented and aspirational consultants who are supposed to enter this field in the future and give them the best resources and guidance through their growth and on this path. And also, we are connecting people. We are essentially a platform for people to know each other, for people who share the same passion, who want to be the same kind of role in the future. And we have this platform for you to talk to each other and learn from each other. And basically, this is an accelerator for our experiences to grow and for our passion to grow along the way at the same time. And we have a lot of roles in CIN. We have general interest group members. This is what you guys are right now at. And also we have mentees program as well. So for general interest group members, we're going to provide you with a dazzling array of resources. So first of all, we are providing you with webinars and virtual workshops on critical topics related to consulting recruiting. So today we are covering introduction to consulting industry. We are teaching you guys how to judge whether this is the right thing for you, and how does it compare to other professional services options out there. And in the future, we're going to have behavior interview workshop, case interview workshops, and resume critique. And also, we're going to cover a special topic on if you're what if you are in a non-target school, what can you do to actually secure yourself a top-notch consulting offer? Because that's essentially very, very very interesting and important for people who are not in target school for consulting firms. Okay, so this is the webinar part. And also we're going to provide you with the bi-weekly newsletters and it covers consulting market intelligence from our dedicated mentors. I'm pretty sure you have seen the first newsletter, and give us the feedback if you feel like there's some places which we can improve upon on. And besides the webinar and the newsletter, we also would select case team leaders from different schools to help organize their peer-based interview prep. So basically practice mock interviews with the peers across the schools in the US. Okay, and lastly, we have network with our mentors working consulting firms. So basically, shoot us emails and asking questions you're interested in, and we're going to be very happy to answer them and help you get to know more about consulting field. Okay, so that's it for the general interest group member program. And in May, we're actually presenting our mentees program, and this is going to be harder than ever because we have very limited spots for people who want to be our mentees. So different from general interest group members, mentees will have even more resources from us, such as internal referral from our mentors currently working in top consulting firms in both US and Asian offices, including McKinsey, BCG, Bain, Accenture, and Deloitte, ATK, etc. And also we will be giving you a 15 to 20 hours one-on-one case interview training from our selected mentors. So basically, that's a lot of very precious resources that some of the prospective consultants are dreaming of. Yeah, so basically study harder and try harder for this mentee program, which will be on starting May. Okay, so next slide, we're going to know our mentors. This is the most exciting part. So since I am the moderator, I will start first. So basically, my name is Helen Yan, and I am going to be a full-time for CIN Mentor Partners in August. And I am currently a full-time student. I'm still like finishing my last semester in UC Berkeley, and I'm the first year in my undergraduate program. So CIN Mentor Partners is one of the best sales and marketing consultancies in this world. So yeah, if you're interested in sales marketing consulting, talk to me, and maybe I can provide more information for you if you're interested in this part. Okay, so now let me tell you a story about one of the most interesting things I have encountered during my recruiting procedure. So when I was in the final round for CIN Mentor Partners, the partner actually asked me a very interesting question. He asked me to tell him about something which is not on my resume. So I told him I love dogs very much, and we spent about 20 minutes talking about dogs. And I said I do a lot of research on dogs, and I love dogs very much. I even went to our Berkeley's local animal shelter and do a weekly basis of volunteering to help with stray dogs and caring for them, finding new homes for them. And then the partner, like, he's very interested in dog as well, and he quizzed me on dogs. So basically, he named a random dog's breed, and I was supposed to provide him with the information on the dog. And I told him about the personality of the dog, the weight, the height of the dog's breed as well. So basically, we talked a lot about dogs during that interview. And when I got the offer from CIN Mentor Partners, it turned out that this partner gave me the highest rating on my interview performance. And I sincerely believe that that's partially due to my shared interest with him. So basically, I feel like my biggest takeaway from this experience is that when people are interviewing you, they are not only paying attention to your case interview skills, not only paying attention to like how strong is your resume and how much business skills you have accumulated in the past, but they are also valuing you as a person. They want to see you as an interesting person. They want to see you as a future colleague and even friends for them, instead of just a machine who is working for profits of the company. So basically, if you have a diverse interest and very splendid experiences, work on them and polish them and learn to present them in a very fashion manner. So basically, you can actually distinguish yourself from other candidates for the consulting firm and eventually secure an offer. Yeah, that's it for me. And next we have Ted. So Ted is currently not available to speak to you guys late, so but he has provided you guys with a recording for his self-introduction. So now let's hear from Ted.
Dear all, I'm Capco from Deloitte Consulting. I'm a senior student in Xi'an University, and will graduate in June. Before I came to Deloitte as an intern, I have tried and been interviewed by plenty of companies, like FMCG, banks, securities, insurance, even all of the industries came through my life. By talking to the interviewer and other applicants, I had a better scope of job. And they really taught me one thing, that is, which job is the one I love. In the end, I signed a job contract with China Merchants Bank. That offer is well paid. So I had a chance to either around during the last semester of my university, but I wonder what consulting was like. So I applied as an intern and succeeded. Not like others in CIN, I'm just an intern in consulting work, but I work here full-time and experienced a lot. My hard work paid back, and I achieved much progress, guidance, and opportunities. Hope I can share with you later. Thank you, and best wishes to all.
Okay, thank you, Ted. And next slide. Now we have May from Capco. This is also a recording.
Hi everyone, my name is Zhimeng Wang. You can also call me Helen. Very nice meeting you by the recording. Myself, I graduated from as study. And after graduate school, I started working at New York City in a consulting firm called Capco, which is focused on finance industry. I do CIN right from the beginning of its foundation, and I know very well some of the founders because they are my friends. And recently, I talked to Zhou, who is also one of the founders in Capco, who I am. And the value that I think CIN can bring to me personally and possibly to all of you is definitely the people, because working with them, talking with them, and I found they're really bright, extremely smart, passionate, and dedicated. I very much enjoy. As one of the members, I really love to also share with you my story in job hunting in the United States, how to cope with the stress, pressure with the job hunting or interview process, and also my short working experience in the consulting industry, especially from the perspective as an Asian female, and how to meet the challenges in the white-oriented corporate culture. So thank you very much for listening, and I really look forward to know more about you.
Okay, thank you, May. And now we have Sunny from Bain and Company.
Hello, everyone. Hi, it's really great to see you all from the webinar. And my name is Sunny. I'm currently a graduate student at Northwestern University. My major is Master's of Science in Integrated Marketing Communications. I just finished my school last December. And in this summer, I'm very excited to join Bain's Beijing office, work there as an associate consultant. I think I want to share one interesting thing about my recruiting process. Before every interview, Bain actually hosts pre-interview networking events. During that networking events, I talked with an elegant lady for like 2 hours about skiing and different kinds of sports we actually like to do. And it happens that the next day, the lady was my interviewer. So everything just went so smoothly. So I think from my biggest takeaway is that once you try to do an interview, the one day before, try to do some homework and attend some pre-interview networking event. Try to know your interviewer better. That's going to help you prepare for your interview and finally nail it. And it's really great to share my experience with you all. And feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions or if you want to know more about Bain, want to know more about Bain's China office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sunny. Wow, that sounds great. I do believe Sunny's experience is really precious because getting to know your interviewer before the interview is just as important as cracking the case. I feel like. Yeah. So basically, ask Sunny if you have more questions about the Bain and her experiences. And now we have Terry from ATKearny Beijing office.
Hi everybody, I'm Terence. I am graduated from University of Pennsylvania. I got my bachelor degree from Bain University. I will be on board in Beijing office of ATKearny. I am one of the mentors in CIN this year, and I was also one of the mentees last year. Again, an interesting story during recruiting. It is about how I got my offer from ATKearny. I was picked by a principal who interviewed me twice and also liked me very much. This is unusual because most time you should meet different interviewer in each round. So why this happened? This is because I exchanged my slots with my friend since her interview conflicted with another interview, even though I have less time to prepare for my second round interview. What if I did not exchange my interview with my friend? What if I did not meet the principal twice? It is hardly to say I will get this offer. The point I want you guys to take from my story is that job application sometimes is very random, especially for consulting industry. This is because everyone is so excellent and also fully prepared for it. But some other factors like the fit between you and your interviewer, the status you performed on that day. So do your best and take it easy. Good luck.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Yeah, I do believe what Terry said is really, really true because everybody is so excellent. So even if you didn't get any offer, even you did get a lot of rejections, don't question yourself. Don't question yourself and be courageous as usual and proceed with your role because it's actually pretty random sometimes, and maybe tomorrow is your lucky day and you get an offer in the future. So basically, the most important thing is to carry on and never give up for your application of consulting firms. Okay, so next slide we have Fengfan Liu from Bain & Company Shanghai office. Let's hear from him. Fengfan?
Hello. Hi everyone.
Oh, hey.
My name is Fengfan Liu, and this photo is not me. I don't know why. I have a better looking, and I'm a first master student in University of Pennsylvania, and I'm gonna work for Bain as a summer intern in the coming summer break. And actually, I had a terrible times when I'm looking for the summer interns, and lucky for me, I received a lot of help from the previous offerees, and which really helps me a lot. And I joined CIN mainly because I want to return favors. I also got something to share with you. It is in my first round interviews in Bain. Usually, you receive brief introductions before the interview begins. And what I did, I read the introduction very carefully, and I found out something very interesting. One of my interviewer want to be a player who drove airplanes. So I found it very interesting, and I think she might be very exciting when I talk with them. So I chose this topic when I started the interview with him, and he seems really pleased and very delighted to share this experience with me. So it is very important to know the interviewer before the interview begins. And I still have a lot of experience to share with you, and looking forward to have a talk with you.
Okay, thank you, Fengfan. Sorry about the picture. I thought this is like one of your profile photos. But definitely I will update your profile and maybe send them over during the newsletter to give people a better impression about who you are and what you look like. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so thank you, Fengfan. And now we have Haichao from Zhimeng Education Group. Let's hear from him as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Haichao. I was born in Ningbo and went to Shanghai Foreign Language High School before I came to Swarthmore College in 2008. During my first 2 years of college life, I worked as a summer intern at the CITIC Securities Investment Banking Division in Shanghai and also UBS Financial Service in Philadelphia. Then I realized finance, well, it's not really something I have a passion about. So basically, I dropped off of my college and started up an educational consulting firm called Xinlun Education. In the past couple of years of life, we be able to develop our company into a 4-office running group. Also, I be able to learn a wide range of corporate world experience, such as how to deal with clients, how to be a great listener, how to effectively build up a team, and be able to present your ideas well and make people trust you. The thing I find pretty important during the recruiting process is that you really need to show your passion, show to the people that you care about what you're doing. You're not only pursuing a job, but pursuing a life of choice. As one of my friends from McKinsey have been telling me, 90% of the people in this world, their work is for compensation. So they work for compensation. But there's 10% of people left. For them, their work is compensation. So every great company is looking for legionary next future stars who choose their life as a consultant, who care about the company's futures, who care about their clients and their family members. So their work is their compensation. Show your passion, you'll get in. I'll be willing to help. Thank you.
Wow, Haichao, I love your passion in self-intro. I do believe what you said. Passion is like the most important thing, especially when you're working in a consulting firm, which is very, very tense, and especially when you're competing with so many excellent candidates around you. Yeah, so thank you, Haichao. And now we have Xumin.
Hey people, yeah, my name is Xumin. I'm actually now a first-year analyst at Accenture's San Francisco office, so I'm actually working. I graduated from UC Berkeley with majors in poli-sci and business administration last year, May of last year actually. And a bit interesting facts about me during my recruiting period will be, well, I mean, I would love to say the nice dinners I had during the recruiting, right, when they are trying to sell me the firm, but yeah, something serious. Okay, so during one of my interview, 2 of the interviews, I got like some very interesting case interview questions. So one of them will be the interviewer asked me to value a live dinosaur. Yes, it is a live dinosaur. You are not listening wrong. So interesting, right? I ended up using actually discount cash flow analysis to see the future value of a live dinosaur if it's exhibited in a zoo. And another interesting case interview I got was to ask me to value a teleporter. So basically, it's a device that can transport someone instantly from, say, New York to San Francisco. And the interviewer asked me to evaluate. And I also used discount cash flow analysis and maybe some comparables to come up with the answer. And then the interviewer was like, okay, this is great. And now another question, can you actually, she just handed me a pen and asked me to draw something on the board. And she basically told me, okay, I don't want to see any numbers. And I don't want to see any word, just drawing. And please draw something on the board to show me or to convince me that I need to hire you. So that's the kind of very interesting interview questions I got from consulting, which I believe you will always be really interested at as well. So that's about me. And Helen?
Wow. Thank you so much, Xumin. And I have to tell that Xumin is a very, very strong consultant. He is like one of the super rising star in Accenture San Francisco office. And later we will hear from him about the introduction to consulting. And now, without further ado, let's jump into this part. So I would like to invite Xumin again to tell us about consulting industry. And Xumin?
Yeah. Okay. So as you can see from the deck, this is something I just stole this template from Accenture. That's why you will see Accenture here. And unfortunately, that's probably like the prettiest slide you will see from my presentation. So sorry for that. And without further ado, so what is consulting? I mean, you might see some of the names here familiar, right? Like Bain Company, McKinsey, Deloitte, and most importantly, Accenture, right? And so what are they actually doing? What are consultants doing though? Okay, so just to one sentence to sum it up. Basically, they are the people you will pay to get their advice. So why would you pay someone who you don't really know? You are not familiar with them handsomely for their quote-unquote advice. So what do they actually do? All right, you will probably see this picture familiar. It's from the mini TV series House of Lies, and basically this is a mini TV series about how management consultants from this #2 management consulting firm in their world doing their businesses. And the African American you see from this picture is the managing director of the team, and the blondie lady you see is the engagement manager. And these two are the ones who are responsible for talking and so-called bullshitting. And the other two, the Caucasian males, they are the associates, and they are the ones who are supposed to be working on the case. I'm saying all this not because that I mean, after watching this TV series, you will be, seeing management consultants living their life like that. Actually, I would dream to live like that, but it never happened. So it's just something would be pretty fun to watch, and I will encourage you to actually watch, because you will then see some fun things about consulting, like the nice dinners you will occasionally have that's paid by client, which is actually true, and I actually did enjoy that part as well. So what do consultants actually do then? All right, let's actually talk something serious. Okay, as an analyst associate. So first of all, just to explain what's the terminology here. Analyst is basically the entry position you will get if you go to a consulting firm out of undergrad. And associate is the entry position you'll get if you go to a consulting firm out of, say, MBA or PhD. So basically, these are the entry levels. So if you get into there, most of the stuff you will do will be using PowerPoint and Excel. And you will also do a lot of emails. So you will be very familiar with Microsoft Outlook as well. And as a consultant, you will be equipped with 2 hardware, BlackBerry, or at least it used to be. Nowadays, it's more like Android or Apple, and then a durable laptop with a privacy screen, so that you can actually do stuff without worrying people on your right side will actually see the confidential information you have on your laptop. And then your day will include the following. You will have a lot of client meetings, you will have a lot of internal team meetings, and then you will do a lot of data gathering and analysis. And after which you will gather the analysis and create slides for PowerPoint presentations. And then you will also have a lot of conference calls, usually with teams, actually, say on the East Coast if you are on the West Coast, or with a client, say in Europe if you are in the US. So then you know what the typical day for a consultant would look like. We have a lot of meetings, we have a lot of data analysis, we have a lot of PPT creation, and we do calls as well. So what are the key skill sets consulting firms are actually looking for when they are doing the hiring decision? Okay, so the first one would be the ability to learn things very fast. I mean, imagine that you will actually change a project every, say, 3 or 4 months. And that project, the new project, would very likely be in a different industry and maybe in a different function if you are just an analyst associate, because you are supposed to be a generalist, which means you will be getting to an entirely new field every 3 or 4 months also. So imagine if your client is paying you, say, $100 or $200 per hour of your work, then you probably do want to, at least learn things very fast so that you can actually get into the real analysis and then recommendation as soon as possible, right? That's why the ability to learn things very fast is very important, and that is why, in my opinion, consulting firms are relatively to, say, banking or accounting or other industry jobs, they tend to focus a bit more on your academics as well. They will actually read your transcript. They'll actually note your GPA and your major GPA and all the classes you took, whether they are actually the hardcore, quantitative mathematics class or like a bunch of PE classes. They will actually be very serious on that, because that's a good indication for them to see if you are good at learning things and learning things fast. So the second one will be a general business sense. I mean, this is probably not hard to understand. I mean, you will be in a professional service where you will be advising your clients on what to take as their next step. So you should have a general business sense. You should know what is revenue, what is cost, what is fixed cost, what is variable cost, and all that sort of general terms you will be learning from an introduction to management class in your college, or from an introduction to, say, general economics class, right? So that's the kind of things the consulting firms will actually assume or expect you to have, even if you are, say, not exactly a business major. You need to know what's cost, what's revenue, and maybe what are the three essential tables from the financial statements. And the third will be structured thinking. And this is the way the consulting firms would actually use in their actual case to present to their clients. So basically, what they would like to do is to break a complex problem. So say, for example, your client's telling you that their profit is getting a hit from last year. And I mean, if you are just tackling this problem alone, and there's basically two extremes you can do, right? The first extreme is to just go for your gut feeling, go for instinct, and tell an answer, and then test it. If it's right, then you are lucky. You got a jackpot. You can just sell the client, and within 1 day you are done, right? And the other extreme will be to use very structured thinking to, first of all, think what is profit. Profit is basically revenue minus cost. And then what is revenue? Revenue is, assuming it's a company that's selling things, then revenue is the number of things they sell and the average price point they are selling at. And what's the cost? Cost may be the fixed cost they are paying for their buildings, the rent, the utility, or whatever. And then the variable cost, that's the cost they are paying for, say, the unit cost for their product and things like that. And then you go another level deeper, and then afterwards another level deeper until you identify the root cause of this profitability problem. And that's how you will do with the structured thinking, and that is what consulting firms will look at when they are recruiting you. And it's kind of self-explanatory, because if you are doing the other extreme, which is guessing, then you can probably guess 1 time right and 2 times right. But how about every time? Can you? Probably not. That's why consulting firms will be very much interested into knowing your structured thinking ability, because only that way can kind of give them a comfort that you can actually solve problems in a consistent manner. So then, great analytical skills, that actually ties back into the structured thinking, because once you will be able to break a complex problem into different types, different elements, then you are really going to use your analytical skills to actually analyze the data. Or first of all, you need to know what data to analyze, right? And then to analyze the data, to see what's the data telling you, what's the trend, and then using that understanding of data, of evidence, to present your idea to the client. And with that, then you need to have the great communication skills, right? Because in the very end, you need to present your idea to the client to see if they can buy it and to see if they will actually be willing to implement it. And that is the final stage of the selling process. And that's why the consulting firms will obviously like you to have that skill as well. So this is basically what I see as the top 5 skills consulting firms or any consulting firms would want their new employees to have, and that's the kind of stuff you want to present during your consulting interview process. So that's about the recruiting process. And I also understand that many of you, according to our survey, don't have a really concrete understanding of consulting yet. So it is totally understandable, and it is actually something we expected, because we do want to, with our organization, we do want to not just to get you guys into consulting, but also get you guys know what is consulting, so that you can make better choices when deciding which career you want to choose after graduation, right? So that's why I put up this table for you guys to basically compare and contrast consulting against the other industries that you might be also thinking, like investment banking or accounting. And after this table, I hope I can clear some of the mysteries behind these 3 distinct industries. So, I mean, you can read all this, but just a brief summary of the table. Basically, what I see as a selling point of consulting compared to banking and investment and accounting is basically, first of all, consulting is relatively has a relatively consistent work-life balance. You always expect to have about 50 to 60 hours per week, compared to banking's, sometimes over 100 per week hours, and accounting's very cyclical business cycle. They will have a busy season in which you will have like 70+ hours per week, and then they will have the normal season in which you practically have nothing to do for the whole day, and you just sit in the office hoping that the days end at 5 p.m. That's kind of boring to me. And then the skill development. I mean, compared to banking and accounting, I guess you will be more familiar with PowerPoint than the bankers or accountants, and maybe less familiar with Excel than the bankers or the accountants for that matter. But then you also have a lot of client interaction. And when I'm saying client interaction, I'm saying that interacting with the manager, director, or even higher level of the clients in the company. So it's really this high level exposure you will get that actually distinguishes consulting from banking or accounting. Like, for example, the previous project that I've just done, like about last month, I was in LA doing a financial processes improvement project for my client. It is a multinational pharmaceutical and chemical company. They have like more than 10,000 people in their whole portfolio. And then I am interacting directly with the director of finance of their North America division on a daily basis. And my cubicle, I actually sit in front of the CFO of North America's office for like the entire 3-month duration. So whenever the CFO comes out, I'll see him. Whenever the CFO leaves, I'll see him. And obviously the CFO sees me as well, and the CFO knows me by my name. And that is kind of amazing, right? Me as just a recent college graduate, a like 22, 23-year-old, I'm actually, meeting and talking to this CFO of this, multi-billion-dollar companies every single day. That is amazing, right? And that is the kind of client interaction we are talking about. And that is the kind of interaction you are not likely to get when you are just an entry-level position person in either investment banking or accounting. And in terms of exit opportunity, I mean, banking and consulting, largely the same. Most of people go to VCs and PEs and then all go to corporates to be on the management track, or with investment banking to be on more of a finance track. So going towards CFO as compared to consulting's I don't know, like chief strategy officer or CEO. And then accounting will be more like the tax roles also. I mean, they do have a lot of people going to the CFO route as well. Like the CFO, I just, I was meeting with every single day during my last project. He used to work with a Big Four firm. So in terms of compensation, I mean, I don't really want to go into great detail, but you guys can read. I mean, banking obviously will have more of a compensation than any of the two, but is it worth it? Well, depends on your own feeling. So daily life component, I mean, I just talked about what a typical day will be like for a consultant. So for like investment bankers or accountants, I mean, for bankers, you will be basically sitting in front of your computer, right, doing a lot of financial models, doing your DCF, doing your comparables, doing your industry research, preparing PPT or Excels. That's basically what you do, and you rarely travel. Actually, you rarely, stand up and leave your desk. And for accounting, it's pretty much the same kind of work as investment banks. I mean, not intensity-wise, but like you are still sitting in front of the computer and doing a lot of financials. And sometimes you may need to travel to the client side to actually do, say, audit of their inventory or things like that. But usually you will be still in office. So that's kind of a comparison table here. And don't worry if you don't catch it right now. We will send the slides later. You have time to read over. And then next, I would like to really talk about, is consulting my thing, or is consulting the kind of job you will be actually dying to get? Well, I'll say that if you are a team-oriented person, or if you like the idea of changing to a different working environment every 2 months or so, just like the situation I described earlier, or if you just like travel, I mean, like me, I traveled from San Francisco to LA for 3 months straight, and from November to January. So November last year to January this year, and I'll be traveling to Sacramento for the coming 4 months until July. So that's the kind of schedule we'll be looking at with consultants. However, though, there is a recent industry trend that consulting firms tend to staff people locally. So you will probably still be traveling, but maybe not like, say, for example, from San Francisco to New York every week. Maybe like San Francisco to San Jose every week, something like that. But it's still traveling. So if you like travel, it's probably something you will be, love to do. And then if you like things that are intellectually challenging, I mean, think about that. Why clients want to bring consultants to advise them on things they've been doing for the past, I don't know, like decades, right, if not centuries. I mean, they are the experts on their business, and we are the outsiders. Why can't we actually help? Or on what ground can we help them? Obviously, it's not the detailed knowledge of their business operations. That's not what we are there for. It's really the new ideas, the innovations, the best practices we can bring to them from our broad range of experiences dealing with the same kind of industry or the same kind of functions from other industry players, and maybe many of them their competitors, right? That's the kind of rationale they have when they are making the buying decision for consultants. So that is why it will be very intellectually challenging for you to be in a consulting work, because you are constantly learning new things, and maybe sometimes you are even like innovating yourself. I mean, just like Accenture, we have a whole thing called Accenture Innovation Lab. So we are actually developing like cutting edge technologies, which we will use internally first, and if we are successful, we'll be selling to the other companies to help them implement it. And that's the kind of things consulting firms are doing. And then, I mean, it's the same thing as the last one. If you like to apply cutting edge business innovations into real world company practices, right? You get into the company as an outside consultant, and you bring in what you know from learning from their competitors or from like your own research, and then you try it out. You're making a business case for them to implement it, to spend money on it, and then you see the result. It might be good, it might be bad. Obviously, you don't want that bad thing happen too often, but that's the stuff you are doing. So think about it. Really think about what aspects of consulting is actually appealing to you. Do you actually want to get into consulting because, say, you like to be constantly challenged intellectually, or do you want to get into consulting because that's simply everyone else is doing, right? Really do think about this. And then, so what is the next step? Now that you kind of know what the daily life for a consultant will be, and you kind of know what's consulting compared to banking and accounting, and you also know what are the key skill sets, and also what are the type of people, you know, that will be more likely to be interested in consulting. So then, how can you get into consulting? What steps do you need to do? Well, you need to do the following ones, I think, mostly. Networking. You need to know people. You need to talk to the consultants. So obviously, being involved in our program, the Consulting Incubation Network, CIN, is a very good step towards networking, right? Because then you know the consulting folks. You can hear the first-person perspective stories from them, and that's what we are trying to do. And we'll be presenting to you other webinars, and one of the webinars will be specifically on networking, and that will be in the coming week, just one or two. So do stay tuned for that. And then you need to polish your resume and cover letter for that matter. Obviously, that's the way you get into the consulting interviews, right? And we also do have a webinar for you on this specific issue. So just stay tuned. It will be happening within 3 weeks from today. And then you need to practice interviews, right? And consulting, you probably have heard of the, you know, terrible or horrible consulting case interview experiences your peers have had. So you probably do know that consulting interviews can be a bit different than the other interviews. So how can you practice them? We'll help. Just stay involved in our group, and later we will actually organize yourself into peer groups so that you can practice interviews. Obviously, from guys from us, we'll be providing you with all the necessary resources, like the actual cases that you can be interviewed on, or the rubrics that you should be evaluated on with your peers. So just wait to hear our good news later. And obviously, at the same time, please do reach out to your friends you know, or people in consulting that you know. You can get a head start, right? If you are looking at, say, the full-time recruiting cycle, then you are looking at people going to the interviews in like August or September or October time frame. So you will have about like half a year to practice. That should be enough. So start practicing right now. And then the next one will be to really develop your business acumen, because as I said, a general business sense is very important when consulting firms are actually recruiting. So you need to develop your business acumen, and unfortunately we cannot really help you with this. I mean, it's impossible. We can, you know, just insert our acumen into your mind. But you will be getting some tips from our bi-weekly newsletters, and we've already sent one bi-weekly newsletter to you guys. So if you just read it, you will find one section called Business News, and in there, one of our organizers, mentors, will actually provide you with just one piece of business news every bi-weekly newsletter, and then provide you with his own insight about that business news and how you can apply that news and the insights you get from that news to your interviewer to actually impress your interviewers. And that kind of skills is really important for you to really shine in your interview, to distinguish yourself from the other interviewees. So these are the skills that I think you should be developing. And in terms of, again, developing your business acumen, if you are looking at some things to read, I will actually suggest you to read Competitive Strategy by Michael Porter, and that's the namesake of the Porter's 5 forces that you might be familiar with. And then if you are just trying to get into consulting case prep, then Casing Point will be pretty good starter point. And in terms of business acumen and general business sense, I would really encourage you to actually read, The Economist, Financial Times, Fortune Magazine, the New York Times, to really get into the real world, to see what's happening as of right now, and what are the banks, the consulting firms, the companies interacting with each other, and what are the decisions they are facing, why are they making the decisions, and you can, trust me, you can get so much insight from reading these newspapers, magazines. Obviously, you should be reading them on a daily basis in order to really having a consistent intake of the current news. And then other web resources. I recently just found out this free course on Foundations of Business Strategy. So I mean, if you are a business major or if you are econ major, then it might be less helpful to you. But if you are engineering major, or if you are someone who you think are lacking, general business fundamentals, then I will encourage you to sign up for that course. It's taught by the dean of the University of Virginia's Darden School of Business, so it should be an MBA level course on an intro to business strategy, and it is free. So do sign up if you do want to polish or actually reflect on the knowledges that you've learned from your business 101 class like 3 years ago. And then Victor Chan's consulting prep website, the caseinterview.com, that is very helpful as well. In there you can see his own insight on getting into consulting. And by the way, Victor Chan, he used to be a McKinsey consultant, and then he got direct promotion to associate. And when he was doing interviews for consulting firms, he got consulting offers from 6 different firms, including McKinsey, BCG, ATKearny, and Boost and companies like that. So his experience is very, very deep, and he can provide you with very structured ways of approaching case interviews. And then you can also do things like managementconsulted.com. That is a website created by some current and former consultants, and basically the kind of website that is similar to Victor Chan's, but you can get just a different perspective on how they think you can get into consulting. So that concludes my presentation. So right now, if you are still interested in consulting, please be keeping involved in CIN, and we will have a lot of fun activities to educate you more on consulting, and later we will help you directly with preparing your consulting interviews. So for now, just stay calm and smile, and that is my presentation. And now I just hand it over to Helen.
Okay, thank you so much, Xumin. I like your presentation so much. Even I myself learned a lot from your knowledge base. And thank you very much for that. And now it's the Q&A session. And Sunny, have you monitored the chat room, and have you found any burning questions from our mentors, from our members? Hi, Sunny. Hi, Sunny.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah. Oh, okay, finally you're up. Okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you so much for everyone who are actively contributing in the chat forum. I just feel like questions are popping up at every minute. I just have one question for Helen. Most people are really interested about SKB. I have a question from Ethan, and she asked, what kind of sales and marketing project does the company mainly work on? Are the projects like the branding, campaign implementation, or projects in marketing and sales strategy development? And also compare with the other competitor like ZS Associate that focus on pharmaceuticals. What industries does SKB mainly serve?
Oh, okay. Thank you for the question. It's a very good question. So I'm going to answer every point one by one. So first of all, Simon Kucher Partner is a consultancy based on Germany. So basically, it's originated from Germany and it has very good population in Europe. And it has come to United States for about 15 years, and it has come to China for only about 5 years, I believe. So basically, its biggest strength is on pricing. So how to price a service, a good, according to the competitive strategy, according to the customer-driven needs, and also according to the cost. This is like what we can do best, pricing. So, and you have mentioned some other marketing sales strategies such as branding, sales, and some other marketing platforms we're opening for. Yeah, we do have that. We actually cover a huge dazzling areas of services such as branding and sales, how to actually maybe maximize the sales force, how to cut down salespeople, how to train them to make sure they deliver the message we want them to deliver, and what is the compensation structure which is like the best for salespeople, for marketing people, for a marketing campaign in order to actually maximize their motivation and get the job done before the deadline or something like that. So a typical project will be like, for example, we have just got a very huge project focusing on a cement production company. So everybody knows the cement is a commodity. It's very cheap. It's actually not very cheap, but it's just very standard. It's highly standard. There's nothing special about it. So it's very hard to price it, especially when there's no differentiation between your products and your competitors' products. You're offering the same kind of a cement. Then how are you going to actually beat them? How are you going to kind of price yourself differently from others? This is like the key we were working on. And our strategy was to help them decommoditize their product, such as targeting different customers, avoiding customers who are large scale, avoiding customers who have huge bargaining powers, such as governments, huge construction projects. So we're actually telling our client that, okay, for cement, you might want to target those smaller retailers and even individuals, because only on those projects can you actually get margins. Can you actually get high margins and differentiate yourself from your competitors? So this is one of the projects which has just been closed literally. And so last question, what was the last point, Sunny?
The last question is what kind of focus industry you have, like
yeah. Okay, we focus a lot of different industries, but that actually depends on the office location. So in Silicon Valley, we have a lot of technology cases. We focus on technology and financial industry a lot. And in New York, we focus on consumer goods and retailers or some other industries at the same time. And in Beijing, we have another set of different industries to focus on. So actually, I feel like this is the same for every single consultancy out there, which is office location determines the focus of your industry. Even for ZS, that's the same. So ZS focuses on pharmaceutical, but part of ZS also focuses on financial industry as well. That's what I've heard from my friends in ZS Associates. Yeah, so that's my answer for this question. If you're willing to hear more, we can actually talk about it during an email or something like that. Okay, so thank you for your question very much.
Okay. So my next question is for Xumin. When you communicate with your client, would you prefer to be straightforward, delivery idea in an efficient way, or you pay more attention to the quality of your language, or building up the relationship?
Well, first of all, as an analyst or associate, as an entry group position person, you do communicate with your client, but you are not usually, as the lead person to give the presentation. So it's mostly on day-to-day, daily communication, like requesting data, or maybe scheduling meeting, things like that. And that being said, it doesn't mean that you are of no importance in this client relationship. You are always, when you are speaking to the client, you are always representing your company. You are always, in the end, you are always trying to sell more projects to the client on behalf of that company you are representing, right? So then that means you always need to understand from the client's perspective, and you always need to use their language. So if you are just, when you are communicating with the client, if you are just saying out some consulting lingos and a lot of acronyms to deliberately confuse your client, that's not good. You need to do plain English, and you need to speak their own language to get the client understand what you are saying in as simple of a form as possible. And also, as a consultant, your job is to really, as an agent of change, right? Because that's how the client that's the only way the client can improve their process or their business, is by changing. Because if they're asking you then to help, then they probably do have trouble. So how do you get that change done is a very, very deep topic. It's a lot of times it's more of a art than science. You really need to understand the internal dynamics of the client situation. You need to understand why, first of all, why the client is asking your help, not others, or which division of the client is actually going to be directly impacted by that change. For example, a very simple one, when I was doing my previous project in that pharmaceutical and chemical company, part of the work we were doing was to build up this capacity model. And this is just a nice word to say build up, to choose whom they should fire if they need to streamline their operations. So it is really delicate, and people, you don't really want to tell everyone in the client side that you are doing this capacity model, and this will directly impact their job. So when requesting data from your client, then you really need to be careful about what kind of data you are requesting, or what kind of language you are saying, or which division of the client you are requesting from. And it is sometimes, I would say, a lot of politics going on as well. So I mean, sorry about not being straight to the point. It's really difficult for analysts to really do very big of a part in this whole communications, I would say. So I mean, once you get into the job, your managers or partners will obviously teach you. It also varies according to client as well.
Mm-hmm. That was really, really great answer. I just feel like I'm talking to clients side by side now. It's just sharing the same experience. And I have another question from people who are from the non-target school. They really want to know how they can stand out in their resume and in their interview process. We actually have another webinar that's specifically targeted at non-target school students. So please keep a close eye on our follow-up activities, and we will address that in a detailed way in a few weeks. So the next question is for Helen. For people who are aiming at the fall recruiting season with limited case practice experience, what do you suggest as the first step?
Okay. Sounds good. So they are actually targeting fall semester recruiting, right? So basically a semester from now.
It means the fall recruiting maybe for 2013 this year.
Okay. Okay, so for a case practice, I would strongly suggest the first step is reading case in point from head to toe without missing any word. I know it sounds a little bit scary, but it's essentially definitely the first step you need to have. Because actually consulting interview tests three things, which are structural thinking, quantitative skills, and also business sense, which is also the business acumen Xumin has just mentioned now. So basically, are you able to come up with enough materials to answer questions, give suggestions, which are drawn from the real business world? So actually, the most fundamental one and the most essential one for you to be able to quickly get yourself into the mode of doing a case interview is building your structural thinking skills. So there are actually 12 structures and case in point, which covered all types of case interviews you are possibly going to have. So I would strongly suggest getting that book and reading, focus all of your attention, maybe not all of your attention, but maybe 80% of your attention onto the 12 case structures, reciting them, digesting them, understanding them, and being able to use them in your real life case practices. And that's very important because that actually jumpstart your case practice journey. Without those structures, you cannot even step further on your road, I believe. And the second step is to build your business acumen and actually sharpen your mathematical skills when doing the interview. So, but those are the following steps. And we actually have another webinar covering how to prepare for case interviews. But if you want to start now, case in point is the key. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's really great suggestion. I have another question for Xumin. As you mentioned, a lot of resources people can refer to. So like reading other magazines and newspapers can really help us a lot, but there are just too much information there. So in your experience, can you give some advice about which part should people focus more on?
Well, yeah. First of all, as I mentioned, I'm a poli-sci major, so when I was doing my recruiting preparation, I was just doing my daily reads, and most of my reads will be on politics. And then I found this actually very beneficial when doing interviews. However, this is just my own takeaway. And if you are asking me to give a general recommendation, then I will say, as Helen just actually hinted, a lot of times the office location of a certain consulting company will have industry focuses. For example, Helen just mentioned that Simon Kucher Partners has a heavy focus on technology and financial services industries in their Silicon Valley office. For Accenture, it is technology, healthcare, and the products industry, so like consumer packaged goods. So once you know, you have an idea, or rather where you want to do consulting. Like say, for example, you want to apply consulting in New York, then you probably can guess that New York will have a lot of focus on the financial services industry. Knowing that, then you should be having a focus on your readings of, say, the New York Times or Economist or whatever magazines, newspapers you end up choosing, right? Just focus on that section. See what's going on. See what is the debt crisis, the European debt crisis right now. What is the LIBOR scandal right now? What's happening? Why is this company closing? Why is this company rehiring? Why are these companies merging? And who's doing the merger for them? What's the rationale? Like all these, just based on the offices you are trying to apply, if you do have that in mind. And if you really don't, then I would suggest to just pick some hot industries. Like for example, right now tech technology is obviously a hot one that you should always keep a focus on, right? You should know that Apple stock is declining right now, and you should know that, say, Yahoo just had a new CEO, Marissa Mayer from Google, and that's what the kind of news you need to know. And then maybe financial services is also an industry that you need to keep focus on if you don't have a office preference yet. So high-tech financial services, and then I guess just these like consumer goods you also need to focus on, because these are the ones that were directly related to you. You are actually, buying their products or receiving their services every single day, and it's likely that the consulting firms will use those companies as the starting point to form their case interviews with you, because they will be expecting you to know something from consumer goods industry, right? So just focus on those common industries that you hear from the news every single day. That should be pretty good, because I don't think the consulting firms will deliberately choose the industry in which they know that people will not have any knowledge of, right? They are not gonna choose, I don't know, they are not gonna choose like the farming industry to ask you guys, right? So just try to do it from there.
This is really, really great suggestion. As we are running out of time, it's already almost the time we're scheduled to close. So we'll have our last question. And for the question we don't have time to answer, we'll send a follow-up message with all our mentors' detailed answers to that. So don't be just disappointed if your questions are not mentioned, because we really have limited amount of time. So the last question actually relates to the CIN organization. It's actually, we have a question like, how will you select mentees for CIN, and what are you most looking for? Helen and Xumin, would you mind elaborating on this?
Okay. Yeah, sure. So we are actually selecting mentees based on a series of different qualities. So first of all, we would like to see how serious are you with your participation. We want to select the people from the interest group who are very active, who are really want to improve their skills, their build up upon their like case prep materials or something like that. So throughout the whole semester long interest group member program, we want to see this kind of person, because we know you are you really want to work hard for it. You are showing your attitude basically. So those are the I think this is the most important thing I would like to mention. And secondly, we are going to look at your qualities. So first of all, we will have a case team leader program, and we'll have case team leaders across the country. And so basically, we will try to judge how much progress have you made throughout this process by referring to the records from the case team leader programs. And that's one of the dimensions we'll look at as well. And then thirdly, we will actually see another dimension of your qualification, which is, have you secured a very successful summer internship or something like that. Even if you do not have that, don't worry about it, because we still have a lot of other dimensions to check out. But we have to admit that people with a very good summer internship program offer secured will have a better chance to progress into the consulting industry. So those are the dimensions I can come up with. And Ximing, Sunny, and Fengfan, feel free to kind of comment on my answer and give more if I missed any.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, we'll be looking at it from two perspectives. The first one will be your potential. What I mean is your potential to get into the consulting industry, and that will have multiple directions, right? First of all, are you actually 100% set in consulting? Or are you just wandering through consulting, banking, accounting, whatever, right? And then do you actually have the right quality of skill set mix that a consulting firm will be looking at. So that's what Helen was just saying. So do you have a nice resume? Do you have a good summer internship or summer experience? You don't have to be in an internship to get interviewed by consulting firm. And do you have a good command of the case interview? And this is the first dimension. And then the second dimension, which is also very important for CIN in particular in terms of selecting who is our next class of the mentees, will be your willingness to contribute into this network. So for example, volunteering to be our case team lead for your respective geographic region will be a nice way to show us that you will be willing to contribute back to CIN, to be a leader instead of a follower, right? And also being involved in our activities. So, like, even if you are not a case team lead, you can support the case team lead by actually, participating into the practice interviews will be having the case team lead to develop, by actually actively engaging that process to fill out the evaluations for your partners when doing the case interview practices, and maybe like referring people into our network, or just by asking questions as you are doing right now. That's the kind of way we are looking at. So basically, the two dimensions, that's very important. The potential of you getting to consulting, and also the potential of you contributing back to CIN. Okay, that's my take.
Okay, sounds good. Sure, great. Yeah, I think the time is up for this webinar now because it's like already past 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. And I want to thank you for your participation again very much, and also thank all the mentors who have participated in our webinar, contributing their self-introductions and some precious experiences and information they have. And our webinar continues in the future on a bi-weekly basis, so stay tuned for that, and we'll have much more splendid materials presenting to you guys. Well, okay, that concludes today then, and thank you very much. Bye.